Hi, my name is Eva Steiner, and this is my project Psychotherapists Around the Globe. I am interviewing the psychotherapists around the world and asking them the same 8 questions. I am wondering how mental health profession is in their country. Today we are going to... Thank you for taking this time for this interview. Before we start with the questions, can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
So my name is Hanna Beyene, and I am a psychotherapist in Ethiopia.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about your culture. What is some holiday or tradition that your country celebrates? And if your culture would be an emotion, what emotion would it be?
Ethiopian has really diverse communities and a lot of cultures regarding celebrations. Some celebration might be religious and other celebration might be something we commonly celebrate. Some federal regions, I think federal celebration, I might say Adwa is one of the most commonly celebrated ceremonies. So if it was emotion, I would say it could be a unity and oneness. But it seems like, from my understanding, it seems like it's something that we as a community needs. I don't know how much you know about Ethiopia and the current situation of Ethiopia, and we are really in hardest time regarding a lot of wars happening continuously and a lot of chaos. So this kind of ceremony and celebrations is something that people look up to, so that we know that we're together and we know that regardless our divisions and the cause of the wars, people tend to think that celebrating outside and it's a street performance. So everybody will wear some kind of clothes that's required to celebrate that festival. So, and we show our oneness and unity at that ceremony or festival. Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit of the background of Ethiopia and what is happening?
So they are saying that it may be an ethical war between the central government and other ethnic groups. So that's it is the second war this year. One war actually lasted for 2 years. Now that seemed like it's over. Now the one that currently is the next or this year war is between the central government and the one ethnic group. That's the current issue that we are facing right now. And regarding that, there's a lot of restriction and there's a lot of human rights issues that seems to come out. So it's really hard to experience it. It's not just on one place that is happening. It's all over Ethiopia. So it's not certainly one selected region. It seems like it's everywhere, and seems like it's happening really fast and a lot of people are dying. So nobody is sure about what's going on and why this war is not stopping. Nobody is sure.
It sounds like really scary, like a lot of uncertainties.
Yeah, it's a lot of uncertainties. I mean, in clinics, there is clients who came after the war from Tigray war, and they express really high emotions and really traumatizing events that happened. And there's a lot of kidnapping that happens regarding other illegal groups. So there's a lot of women and children being raped, and it's really severe and it's really hard time for Ethiopians.
Good. Thank you for sharing this. Okay, so how did you become a psychotherapist in your country, and what is your psychotherapeutic approach?
First, I went through the degree program of being a journalist, a psychologist. You will have bachelor degree as bachelor art of degree in psychology. Then you will move to the master's class. You could be a clinical psychologist, it could be counseling in master's, it could be sociology or even social worker. So you will have a variety of choice on the master's level. But on the degree level, you can only go for Bachelor of Art in Psychology. But also That's where I went through. I went through the bachelor degree of psychology, then I moved to the clinical psychology in masters. Now I'm doing a clinical psychology masters, but in between I had the opportunity to be trained as a basic psychotherapist in PPT, and so I have the certificate. Now PPT means positive psychotherapy. It's mostly on psychodynamics and humanitarian based.
It sounds like really good organized, like this psychology field. Or am I getting the wrong impression?
No, you're not getting the wrong impression. But one thing it should be better to mention is that it takes a lot of your commitment to go through all of these steps. Some people might stop at bachelor degrees and they might practice it at that level, but others could move on to the master's level. But in master's level, clinical psychology is basically on the clinic setting, and counseling psychology might be on the other side, the university, mostly on theoretical basis. But in clinical, we are 100% in being on practice. But also you have the chance to join a lot of trainings outside of on private settings. You can expose yourself to a lot of trainings. It will be expensive, but I think it's something to go for if you want to really be an expert on this topic.
How society looks upon psychotherapy or any psychological help?
So it's one of those things that's still developing in our country, and it can have a lot of views and perspective regarding our community. Some of people might feel it's something for morally high status people goes to. Others might feel that it's not for them, or it's a lot of things. The name of psychotherapy usually goes in our language. It interprets to slalibona, and which means that someone who has mental issues. So it's sometimes can be seen as someone going crazy or someone who's not functioning very well, and it's something that is being scared of, or something that people don't want to touch themselves to. But nowadays, it seems like people are really understanding what it is about, and social media also plays a significant role in people changing their perception regarding what psychotherapy means. But most of the time, we have a difficulty of telling people what psychotherapy is and how talk therapy goes. Some people might expect you to give them a medication and that's it, and some people might think that it's just one session, and so you have to explain what it is very, very briefly and how it goes. People are getting a hold of it, I think.
And you can get mental health help privately and publicly.
I don't know about the outside of the capital city of Addis Ababa. I don't think there will be a lot of health centers regarding mental health treatment. But in Addis Ababa, you can get private help and governmental helps. The private one, the government one, actually, I'm currently working on. It might have a lot of clients per day. It goes to 20. It goes to 15 per day for a psychiatrist to follow up or to see new patients. But on private setting, you have to have really high credentials, and you have to be well known to have a certain client's number. But people are currently well known where to go and which center gives which types of experience, which services.
And are there any other ways that maybe people approach mental health? So one is going to psychotherapy, but I notice in different countries they have many different practices to address mental health well-being.
Yeah, I forgot to mention it, but it's really practiced in our country. We have traditional healing processes. We take based on religious and ethnicity that you have. It's a variety of practices. For example, they can go to the holy water. It's where people go to and baptize themselves for about 2 weeks, and as other people say, use these remedies, or remedies, and it could be mixed, and you can also drink it. But it's mostly practiced in our community before they come to our service, or even after, even while they can also use it interchangeably. but it's mostly practiced that way. It could be in outside of the Addis Ababa, but that's mostly practiced in traditional healing system.
What is your society teaching about child-parent relationship, and whether these values of society also influence how you design your interventions?
This is the most important question. Our society expects children to follow their parents and to be the submissive ones in the relationship between the family dynamics. So most children are basically taught that they have to respect their parents and they have to always fulfill the parents' wish, and it has this kind of dynamic in our culture. And when to the therapeutic relationship, to design the therapy, you need to really understand the family dynamic first, because children usually up to 20, 22, they mostly stay with their parents, and they are really under their parents' care. In order to work on the child, you have to work on the parents and how the family structure might influence them and all of those things. And mostly the parents are responsible for their cares. So when you try to design your intervention, you have to involve the parents, and it's kind of something I personally say it's a must. Because at the end of the day, when the therapy session ends, the child is going to go home with their parent, and whatever we work on the session has have to be transparent through the parents. And the child might not have much rights because caregivers usually have the higher rights on our culture and our law. It's something to consider working on with their parents.
And in case of an adult client, how would you approach if they will come and say, okay, I don't want to contact with my parent? How would you approach as a therapist?
Well, so if I have an adult client, usually I would go for whatever the client is suggesting best for them. Because at the end of the day, we want them to be this independent adult, so who can make decision for himself or for herself. So at the end of the day, even if it's that decision might be right or wrong, it's regarding they have to try it and decide for themselves. So it's always not advisable. It's not always to advise or to assume something. So it's always the client have to try and work on the decisions through times. It's not something I would usually pose or force my perspective on. It's just something I would to allow.
So what are the learned beliefs regarding client-therapist relationship? And can the relationship continue outside the therapy once the therapy process is over?
So after the sessions is over, usually it depends on the client. Most clients usually wouldn't want that connection. It's not to do the therapist, but sometimes it can go. People might think that this the name of the therapy and going to therapist, they might give them this name of the society that this one let go of. So so therapy, it might be clearly associated with being mentally ill and other things. So they might not want to connect with you after that. But there's also other clients who invite you to be their family, and you become their really part of their lives. So this kind of relationship needs really careful attention, I guess, because we probably don't know where this might lead to. And at the end of the day, we want them to be really dependent, and we want them to be not dependent on the therapy, so that you might have to be careful. But it's always depends on the client where the relationships go.
You mentioned that there are days where you have like up to 15 clients. So how do you manage that? Do you have a certain time for each session, or it's more about like, I don't know, 15 minutes each? Like how do you manage 15 clients?
Oh, so I said 15 clients for the psychiatrist, the one who give medication and follow-ups. For us, for therapy, might go to 7 clients per day on the government setting. So 7, you have almost like 55 minutes to make the follow-ups. If it is a follow-up client that you have, you might go through certain new things, and you might go through something to work on. And if it's going to be 3 in the morning up to 6 in the afternoon. So you have these 3 hours to work on these clients. But if you do not have enough time, you can schedule for the afternoon sessions usually.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes like that, but we give much priorities for new clients that came in that need an assessment, and also clients who may be in crisis or in suicidal attempts or tries. That clients, we give much priority to them.
So the way I understand you, the clinic you are working in, the person can just come and receive psychological help on the spot. And there are some clients that come regularly.
Yes, there are some clients that come regularly, but it's government setting, so they make schedules prior to 2 weeks and 15 days. So on that day, you may have 7 clients or 8 clients or 5 clients on that specific place, but it's not spot on. They have to always make an appointment before they come to the client. But on the appointment day of new clients, you may have follow-up clients that can add up to your numbers. It's not 50 clients, it's not 10 new clients. It will be 3 to 4 new clients per day, but also 7 to 5 clients follow-up cases.
And what are some stigma regarding mental health in your country?
It has a lot of stigma in our community, and something now it's currently being really worked on, but even the one that is being treated might have its own stigma. Also the community, even the family members might have their own stigmas regarding that, but we always educate on what it is and how it can be treated and all of those things.
Is supervision a must for a therapist in your country?
Yes, it's a must. Because it's really difficult cases that came up. So we have this diverse community, and you don't know which people might have been exposed to a lot of events. So they might be your client the next thing you know. So the supervision, it also goes to handling your own emotions regarding what you are feeling, but also how to approach the next sessions. So it's something that we are really exposed to is supervision. From 4 days, we get 2 days of supervisions. So it's really must, and it's something I highly recommend.
What are the most common complaints that the client comes to therapy for?
So in our context, usually as in high context culture or community, most of the complaints are physical inabilities and inability to work. Mostly clients might complain about their functionality and how would they want to function on base level, and sometimes they might not even worry about their emotions and how they're feeling depressed or anxious. So mostly they ask about wanting to be able to function on their effective level. So functionality is something that always complained about.
And do you see also influence of war shining through the complaints that client comes to therapy for?
Yeah, even some people who came from Addis Ababa, they may come to our session and they say, I've been really stressed lately, and if you ask what happened, what's going on, they'll tell you that I'm currently worried about my country. A lot of clients may complain about this. So they are so worried about where our country is heading right now, and it's something that is usually you don't know how to handle this kind of questions because everybody seems to be worried about it. So it comes in a lot of different terms. It's not just a war, it's just not just a fear. It's goes to being economically stable, because some people lost their houses, their land, and they have their husbands being killed in being their head of the company, the economical head of the house. So it comes in a lot of different ways. It's not just the symptomatic ways. It goes in a lot of different dimensions how it may occur in your setting.
And how is for you as a therapist work with this? Because it's well, I know from my work where I have much less of this. It's heavy, you know.
Yeah.
So how it is for you? Because you seem like it's a lot of cases like that. Yeah.
It's a lot of cases. Some of my teammates have the chance to go to the Tigray region to give the psychological support, and when they come to join us, they weren't the same people. The lot have changed. Even some of them had, even my senior who's training the PPT had a surgery because of it. So it's a lot of burden to handle. But how do I handle? It's difficult for me also, but we handle it because now we have these social workers who's going to help the client find shelter or support in any kind of support on money or anything. So we have them by our side so they can look for some kind of help the client might need, beginning from giving them shelter, food, and also maybe reconnecting them with their lost family members. Or also mostly they are more concerned about place to stay and finding their children or husband, so they help them find whatever they needed. But sometimes the social workers may have difficulty of the financial and it's not always enough for everyone. So we're trying to look for other way of helping these clients. So that can give me some peace for a while. These NGOs are open to help these people. So it will be not only the NGOs, there are also spiritual leaders that are willing to help them. That's kind of nice to have.
If you would share one tool, belief, or approach that is a must-have for you as a therapist, what would that be?
Really, really look into what the client is looking for. Because as in these professionals, we see a lot of variety of clients, and we usually had this conclusion that every client must need some things, our own perspective. So we have to take that aside and really look into the client and give them exactly what they want regarding our perspective of what they might need. So the reason why I'm saying is that we have these people that come to our session and they're really worried about their functionality, and we usually tend to focus on what we can do than what the client is asking for. So we have to always look out for what the client is asking and not tailor them to what we know, but also helping them on what condition they're asking us, what kind of help they're seeking for.
Okay. Thank you for doing this interview with me and being so open.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be part of your project.